What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the second episode of Rome 2 Fundamentals. So, kind of following up on the last one where we talked about kind of infantry tactics and more like standard barbarian or just infantry versus infantry battles, and how cav and archers should affect those battles, and how the infantry war should go, and how the cav should be used. Now I've got sort of a different theme for this one, obviously, trying to do something new here, and it's definitely on almost equally, or definitely equally relevant or powerful way to play the game, especially in this patch, and that's going to be like kiting and cataphract armies and that kind of thing, playing for the late game, and for the cav being the main striking force of the army rather than infantry. And in this patch, obviously the lines are shorter, so more missiles will hit, making kiting definitely more viable. But also, and perhaps even more important, the fact that units can't spread out as much means that the armies are more compact in general, and that gives you a lot more room for kiting, just because they can't spread out and control the red line as easily. So, yeah, so I think the first thing we're going to do is talk about cataphracts in general, since the eastern factions are the best for kiting, especially Parthia and Armenia. We'll talk about cataphracts, how to use them, both in terms of kiting and just as the main killing force in an army, how do they need to be used. And then we'll talk about just sort of all sorts of like kiting and how the how like archers and cataphracts play into late game scenarios, maybe not against other cata factions, but against weaker weaker factions, or not, non-kiting factions. So we're gonna start out with a Cataphract Battle, and we'll talk about the upsides and downsides of both units, which are obviously the regular Eastern Cataphracts for Parthia and Armenia, and the Camel Cataracts for Saba. So let's get into this game, and we'll check it out. So here I have Saba and Nasser playing Parthia here, and well, first of all, let's go over the strengths and weaknesses of the main killing forces of both of these factions, which are the Cataphracts, of course. And we're both taking slightly unconventional armies for this matchup. I actually couldn't really find a replay where both sides took kind of normal armies, so whatever, we'll deal with this. So Saba has the advantage of having Camel Cataracts, and Camel Cataracts have quite a few advantages, some of them statistically and some of them not. So statistically speaking, they have this resistance to fatigue, which means they're going to tire a lot less fast. And for Cataphracts, obviously, they're quite a slow unit and fast to tire. That's very useful because now these guys can run around the battlefield, use a lot more, do a lot more charges, and not be exhausted and be completely shit. They also have, obviously, being camels, they have the Scare Horses trait, which is really good for a unit that's good on the charge, right? Because you're going to be dealing a lot of casualties on the charge, and to have that Scare Horses ability will just mean that enemy cav units will rout even faster at Cataphracts, and that's obviously good because you want to do your damage on the charge. And that's sort of the key thing about Cataphracts in general, is you want to be doing damage on the charge. In melee, you're kind of shit, in prolonged melee. So the idea is that you need to be able to cycle your units as much as possible. Doing one charge and then getting them bogged down will just get them killed in melee and shot. And obviously Cataphracts have good armor, but they have no shield, so they are really weak to missiles. And actually, that kind of brings us to our weaknesses of the Camel Cataracts. Well, actually, before we go into weaknesses, their other strength is not statistic. Well, it is statistic, but it's not shown. And that is that they can get their charge bonus from very, very short distances. Like regular Cataphracts or cav in general need a little bit of distance. Like they need to be, let's say like this far from the enemy unit. If you hit the attack order right here, they'll get their charge bonus if it's straight on. But if you're closer, they won't hit the charge animation, they'll get blocked, they won't charge, and they'll stand still. They'll get charged by the enemy, and they'll be forced into a melee. And obviously for Cataphracts, that's awful, awful, awful. You need to be doing your charge damage. So these Camel Cataracts can basically get their full charge bonus, the animation, the charge bonus, the impact damage, from basically 0 meters away. Like if you click an attack order, they will get the charge bonus almost 100% of the time. And so obviously that's very nice, because what you can do is you can charge one unit and then bounce through to other units and just keep charging around the enemy lines and doing maximum charge damage for as many models as can continue through. since some of them will probably get stuck in combat. But if a lot of models make it through, they'll be doing almost maximum impact damage, charge damage on all these units, and they can just bounce through. And secondarily to that low charge distance is also that the Camel Cataracts have much higher turn radius, or lower turn radius, so higher turn speed. So the Camel Cataphract can turn like this, whereas maybe a regular Cataphract has to turn like this, or something like that. And the idea for this is that if a unit is coming from like this angle, a Cataphract, if it's facing this way, will not be able to turn and face it and get a charge. It will be impossible. It will be turning and it will get blocked by the charge. The Camel Cataracts just turn on a dime and charge instantly, and again, they're going to get that full charge bonus, whereas the Eastern Cataphracts may not. And again, that really helps when you're bouncing through enemy lines, because you need to be charging at like weird angles here. The Eastern Cataphracts really can't do that. They have to cycle out and then charge back in. Whereas the Camel Cataracts can just kind of go through the entire line, and that's a huge advantage. It cannot be understated. And anyone that's played Saba knows how devastating these guys can be. Even though their stats, and we'll get to their weaknesses now, their stats are slightly worse than the Eastern Cataphracts. If we look at their armor and health, we have 90 armor, 100 health, whereas Eastern Cataphracts have 90 armor and 115 health. So that's an extra 15 health, and that really can't be understated how much that is, because again, these guys are going to be taking javelins and you know, missile fire a lot, and also just on the charge against enemy Cataphracts. If you have a Cataphract with 15 more health and you're doing a massive amount of charge damage, you're going to be killing a lot more enemy Cataphracts. So these guys on a straight charge are much better, and they will survive a lot longer as well with that extra 15 health. And just for notes, the Marib Camel Cataracts, again, they pretty much act the same as the Sabaean Cataphracts, and if we compare them to the Royals, these guys have 110 armor, 105 health, whereas the Royal Cataphracts have 110 armor, 120 health, so again, plus 15 HP, and that's very nice. I think the other stats, let's see, 40, 25, 10, 67, 40, 25, 10, 68, so slightly better attack stats here, 20 melee defense, and 17 melee defense. So their stats on these Sabaean Camel Cataracts are slightly better than the Eastern Cataphract stats, but again, minus 15 health is a big L, and it really can't be understated how much of a difference that makes, and we'll definitely see it in this battle. But these guys, again, they can get easier cycle charges, easier second charges on other units, and all that stuff, so that's very useful. So let's get back into the battle. And another thing with Cataphracts, so now we're talking more generally about the Cataphracts themselves. How do we use the Cataphracts to get the maximum damage? First of all, in the first charge, which is the most important charge by far, and then for reusing them. So one thing about, if we look at our lines right now as we approach each other, when I charge out into the, you know, obviously one thing that's obvious is I don't want my infantry to get charged by an enemy Cataphract. Let's put that out there. That's pretty obvious, right? Because these Cataphracts in general do a lot of damage. So if we're facing Cataphract versus Cataphract, or even regular in general, right? If you're facing, let's say these are heavy horse or something, I don't want to allow these heavy horse to hit my infantry for free. That's stupid. I want to get my cavalry out in front so they can hit the enemy's infantry if possible. But obviously my opponent's not going to allow that. He's going to bring out his own cap to stop it. Let's say in this case, because it's Cataphract versus Cataphract, right? He's going to charge out his Cataphract. I'm going to charge out my Cataphract. Here's the key, right? I want my Cataphracts to be more in front of my infantry than his are in front of his, because that means when I charge his Cataphract unit, some of my models will go through this unit and hit the infantry behind, and they'll do a lot of damage to that infantry, whereas his models, his Cataphracts, since they're closer to his infantry and further away from my infantry, his models will, maybe some of them will bypass my Cataphract, but they won't be close enough to hit my infantry. What this means is that my infantry unit will get a full charge on his infantry unit, and will do a lot more damage than his, who will have some of his men knocked over, some killed by the Cataphract charge. However, that's all nice, so that means I want to charge out my Cataphracts earlier, if possible, than he does for his. But you can't be too exposed, because let's say, right now, if Acer ran this Cataphract, like, all the way up here, and he's like, oh, I'm going to get a double charge. I call that a double charge, when you hit the cavalry and the infantry behind it. That's great, but now this Cataphract is isolated, the infantry unit's not in good support, and now it's going to get double javelin by these two units, and my cavalry will charge it, and now that Cataphract's pretty much dead, it's going to get focused down. So you don't want to be too far in front of the enemy, of your own infantry line, because then you can't get support. And again, infantry is so key to Cataphract support, because what infantry does is you charge in the infantry after your cavalry. Your cavalry is engaged in a melee here. You charge your infantry in, and now this Cataphract can retreat completely for free because the enemy can't chase it because your infantry is blocking it from chasing. If you didn't do that, if you just run your Cataphract back, which I see a lot of people do, Now I already have a Cataphract engaged with it, so I'm going to keep chasing it. My infantry can chase it, and now I'm going to do a lot of damage because I'm fighting it from the rear, and it has less ways of defending itself from the rear, right? So now if I bring an infantry unit to block the chase, now this Cataphract unit gets out for free, and it can come around and cycle charge however you want. So that's why infantry is so key, and you have to play in conjunction with both your cavalry and infantry with Cataphracts. And that's the same for every cavalry unit in the game, but it's especially true for Cataphracts, where the charge and getting as many charges as possible is so important. Anyway, so let's see what happens in this mainline engagement. Let's see who gets the better of the charges here. Again, Nasser doesn't have any horse archers, which is usually common for this matchup, but he does have 5 foot archers, and again, my Cataphracts have less HP, so they are going to be very easy targets for these archers, especially the foot archers with their 40 damage. But I do have 6 Cataphracts, so I brought 6 Cataphracts, and Nasser has 5. That was sort of the novelty that I brought to this matchup. So you can see, here's my Cataphract coming out. I'm actually targeting his Cataphract, not even his infantry, because I expect his his Cataphract to charge out. But it is only a hillman, so maybe he'll accept like a bait. I'll just use the hillman to break my charge. But I'm going forward now. These are only like cheap spears on the mainly here, so I'm okay if he charges my cheap spears because it's going to allow me to get a counter charge. So that's another thing you have to consider, especially with like barbarians, right? They have levy freemen in front. They're going to let you charge their levy freemen with your Cataphracts because you'll get 1 javelin volley, and if the heavy horse charge out like the Cataphract should, the heavy horse is going to get destroyer unit. It's going to lose the entire unit in 1 charge to a Cataphract, so you can't afford that. So again, that's a different scenario, and maybe we'll see an example of that later. But here I've kind of done the same thing. I've let him charge my Desert Spearmen, and you can see that I'm pre-targeting his Cataphracts with my Cataphract, so I can get a counter charge on his Cataphract where he doesn't get a charge at all. So let's see. Here he does a nice job of baiting this Parthian sword out, but you can see I sort of missed the timing here, but you can see he stops, and now I get a free charge into his rear line. And actually that's a perfect example. Did you see how these guys, he was trying to actually turn around and charge my Cataphract, but you see how they are with their swords out, and they didn't get a charge? That's because they were trying to turn around. Again, their charge radius, charge distance, and their turn radius are too slow. And so I got a free charge on this Eastern Cataphract, which is going to be very nice for me. And again, here you can see this infantry is going to get a follow-up charge, and this Cataphract should get a charge on these Eastern Cataphracts who are not disengaged yet. Here, you can see my Camel Cataracts. They still have a charge order on this unit, but it's totally fine because they're going to get their charge animation and blow through both units here. And you can see here comes the charge from these Cataphracts. Again, his I should have actually charged this unit, I suppose. But you can see here, look, blasting through the hillman and into his Cataphract. Perfect double charge. And you can see my infantry is way behind, so it's not going to get charged by his Cataphract. Here he has a nice Cataphract on the flank, but you can see I just turn around, and these Cataphracts are so good they just turn around and get their full charge. But here he's going to get a nasty charge and probably do a lot of damage to this Cataphract because it's already engaged, and he got a free clean charge. And again, these Eastern Cataphracts are better on the charge than my Cataphracts are. But here I got a really nasty charge. I killed off a hillman, a foot archer, and I'm getting into this Eastern Cataphract all for free. He does get a charge with it though, so it's gonna do damage to my Cataphract on the charge. It's much better. Here again, I'm trying to bait out a charge here with my Cataphract. I see I run it away, and I get a second charge with my general. But he is in the charge animation, so it will be a decent charge. He actually breaks out of the animation pretty fast though, so it was probably a better charge for me. Over here though, he's getting a nice job of killing off this Cataphract pretty much. But he should cycle out these charges. See how I'm cycling out my Cataphracts now? I have infantry to cover them so they can cycle, but he's not cycling his Cataphracts yet, so that's very good for me. And again, the more you cycle, again, not cycling here, actually it seems like he is now. He's getting a nice rear charge into this unit. But again, this Cataphract has already done like 3 charges, whereas he's just getting a second charge now here. And here I've brought an infantry unit so I can cycle out this Cataphract, cycle again, this Cataphract cycling, and only now is he beginning to cycle these units. So I've gotten a lot more charges, and here his general's tied down. And look, I'm getting a rear charge on his general here with this other Cataphract because I was able to cycle it so effectively. And I also have an extra Cataphract because I brought an extra Cataphract to the battle. That was part of my unit. Here you can see nice shots from Masera though. Shooting my Cataphracts, obviously the prime target. They will get a nice charge here, but he did manage to cycle his Cataphract. It's at 52 men. I try to cycle very fast here because I just wanted to hit these infantry and run away, and I actually managed to do it. And again, Masera didn't cycle this unit. It's down to 40 men. Actually, it may be fighting over here, but it's still fighting. It's not getting charges. But his arrows are doing massive damage to me. I need to be out of range here. I'm trying to shoot up his Eastern Cataphract, but again, slingers versus these archers are going to kill my Cataphract so much faster. And look at the damage they're doing. But you can see again here, he did manage to just about get that turn charge, so he just managed to get there, but again, see how close it was? And if it was any slower on his micro, he would have absolutely lost that fight. Here, my rear charges are working well, but you can see he got a full charge with his Royal Cataphract, and it's actually destroying my Marine Cataphract. No contest. The Royal Cataphracts are much better, just how like the Eastern Cataphracts are much better than the Sabaean ones in a direct charge situation. So here I still have a nice amount of Cataphracts alive here. This unit probably gonna die here. This unit's gonna just kill off this unit, but again, nice arrows. Look at this arrow focusing down this Camel Cataphract. That's excellent. This is actually a Marine Camel Cataphract though, so it will be a little harder to kill. Over here, we're locked in a melee here, but I'm gonna shoot this unit to make this a win for me, hopefully. Over here, his general just did such a good job. Now he's starting to shoot this blob, and he gets a second charge, a nice cycle charge here from his other Cataphract. So that's not ideal for me. I'm actually losing a lot more Cataphracts because I wasn't able to really get into his archers. And his archers started just pounding my horsemen. But these slingers did a really good job shooting up this Cataphract, making it rout, and this rear charge should finish it off. The scare horse is also being very effective there. He actually manages to hold on to his morale though because I couldn't keep shooting it. But now this Camel Cataphract is free. I'm gonna get into his archers, and that should be a big boon for me. He does have some, again, nice, another charge here. He's finally getting more charges, but he didn't get so many charges at the beginning of the game, and I did, and that's really allowing me to kill most of his infantry, whereas my infantry is still pretty healthy overall. And that's a huge bonus for me, because these infantry still have javelins, and the javelins will do great damage in the late game. Here, I cycle out this Cataphract again. This Cataphract's still there to hold this unit in place. I can cycle, I can hit this infantry, and I can just cycle right back in and hit the Cataphract again. And you can see exactly what I do. So, cycling is so important with the Cataphracts. His archers are finishing off some of the last Cataphracts that I have, but again, he doesn't have any Cataphracts either. His general here down to 20 men, 71 kills and 3 chevrons, but it is going to die here. And luckily for me, I have all 4 of my slingers perfectly healthy, whereas his archers are... you can see a little bit beat up, and he only has 2 archers, so my slingers are much better. He does have a few Cataphracts left that are trying to do some damage, but they are already winded, and I have just enough infantry here to probably hold on without routing. Nice shots from him, but I also have 2 Cataphracts, infantry, and 4 slingers here to finish the battle off. So I think the fact that I was able to get cycle charges, and also I was in his rear lines with some of my Cataphracts, I slipped through some gaps because I had an extra unit of Cav, and I was able to rear charge and just cycle charge a lot more in the beginning of the game, whereas Acer had like a Cataphract stuck in melee here, and it really didn't do anything. It was just fighting. It wasn't really dying, but it wasn't getting any charges, so it doesn't kill anything either. Whereas my Cataphracts were cycling almost as much as they could, meant that I was able to kill his infantry off. Even though his archers did a really good job against my camels in the end, I was able to kill just enough of his Eastern Cataphracts with my cycle charging and my slingers, and obviously my cav, to make this a pretty winning endgame. And I got more cycle charges on his infantry, so that was a huge bonus for me as well. So you can see, yeah, his morale is going to be bad there and rout. So I think that's a pretty good example of how these Cataphracts can be used. Again, the importance of cycle charging, the importance of supporting your cav with infantry so you can pull out your cav unit and cycle again. Those are really, really key ideas, and also just the strengths and weaknesses of individual Cataphract units. So these guys are better, the Eastern Cataphracts are better on the charge, they're better in survivability, and in a direct charge they will absolutely crush these Sabaean Camel Cataracts because they have 15 less health, but these guys are really good at breaking through gaps, cycle charging, and just turning around and charging from weird angles, whereas these guys, and you saw it with his with that one unit, I think I pointed out if you want to go back, where the unit tried to turn around. He was at the very beginning of the charge sequence. He tried to turn around, but it was just too big of an angle, and the unit just stopped, and they pull out their axes instead of getting a full charge, and that way my unit was able to do a lot of damage to it. So that's the strengths and weaknesses. And again, you can see how well some of his archers did. A couple of them got sniped early on by my cav, but the ones that didn't, 40 kills, 114 kills, mostly on cav. You can see the chevron, really, really good kills there from the archers. But I managed to keep my slingers alive, and that's the other thing too. If Cataphracts get into the rear lines and start getting rear charges, they're going to be doing crazy amounts of damage and causing all sorts of chaos. Whereas I was pretty much the one making the aggression, so my slingers were free to survive, and that's obviously really important. And even though these archers probably didn't get that many kills, I mean they didn't, they're probably doing a lot of HP damage, and we already know that the minus 15 HP that these camels have is a huge HP disadvantage against the Eastern Cataphracts, so if you can imagine, any extra HP damage is even bigger, and I think HP is one of the key factors that you have to consider with Cav, because it really affects how they do on the charge. Because they're low HP, they'll act like light Cav basically. They'll all die on the charge, and it's no different for Cataphracts. So that's one game. Next up we have, I think we'll do this game between me and Zafado, and this is kind of how Cataphracts can be used against non-Cataphract factions. I think that's really crucial too, because a lot of the time you won't be coming up against enemy Cataphracts. Obviously when it's Cataphract versus Cataphracts, it's kind of a different story, but if you have Cataphracts against non-Cataphract factions, they have to counter the Cataphracts in slightly different ways. So let's go watch this game. Alright, so Armenia versus Bactria, again, pretty common matchup. I think Armenia is slightly better after further testing, but it's pretty close, I'd say. But the Cataphracts, again, are the key difference. They are absolutely the thing that gives you the advantage as Armenia. So I've brought 3 Cataphracts. I have 1 Cappadocian Cav to make some extra money. I didn't want to go for Cataphracts so I could get better infantry. I've got some Cartly Axemen, some Axemen, some Persian Hoplites, and some Hillmen and Eastern Spears. Just a mix of your Armenian infantry here. I've got 4 horse archers. Zafado has 4 Bactrian noble horse. So again, very powerful cavalry, these guys. Probably the best. I think they're actually better than Cappadocians. So they are very, very strong cav. But they're not Cataphracts, they're melee cav. He also has 1 general unit. He's got 4 Scythians. He has 4 pikemen, 2 thorax swords, and some Bactrian hillmen, and some Syrian archers. My missiles are 2 slingers and 1 archer, so I have a bit of a missile numbers advantage, but these Syrians are a little bit better. So anyway, I guess we can also just talk about some other fundamentals here with the horse archer stuff. So we talked about Javcav in infantry fights, but this is more of like an Eastern type fight. The key here is basically, again, we both have horse archers, right? So it's not about drawing an enemy infantry away from the fight or something like it was with the Javcav in the other games. Here it's horse archer versus horse archer, so we're obviously doing the little dance thing where you just run around and try to bait enemy missiles. And obviously one thing to know is that these Scythian horse archers are much slower than the horse archers for Armenia, so you can get some additional shots, but you have to be careful because these guys do more damage. And we'll see how I use these guys in the late game and the mid game. Obviously right now we're just trading shots, but once the main melee starts, these horse archers are going to come into play in some significant ways, obviously. So let's just triple through right now. But again, I think the focus will still be the fundamentals in terms of how we use Cataphracts in this case, where they have, non-Cataphract units here. Because basically any unit that's not a Cataphract is going to hurt on the charge to a Cataphract. So it's going to be, he's not going to want to keep these Bactrian noble horse, or at least not use all of them to block charges. And he also has pikemen, which are good to stop me from charging, obviously, because you don't want to charge pikes. So we'll only have to use maybe 2 cav to stop me from getting those charges early on as infantry. But we'll see how that kind of plays out into my strategy for using these Cataphracts later on. We're still just doing this dance here with our horse archers. Nothing really happening. Both of us have done a pretty good job of just not losing too many men. A few casualties here and there, but nothing significant. But you can see over here I'm already getting into his back lines, which is nice. He could go for a flanking maneuver too, but he decides not to. He decides to spend his own cav. Either way would probably be fine. He was going to get a nice volley, but so am I. My volley is actually a little bit better, probably, because more of my men shot, whereas you can see he's shooting now, but these guys are going to miss. Over here he does get a nice volley on me, but that's just, that's the give and take. Horse archer battles, sometimes you're going to shoot second and it's going to be bad for you. I lost a lot of men there. But anyway, here comes the main engagement. So let's see, you can see I'm already pre-targeting his cav with my cav, because I want to hit his cav if possible, and you can see this is going to be a really good example of a potential double charge there. But if he doesn't want to charge me, you can see he doesn't have any bait infantry like meat shields in front of this thorax sword. So if I can hit it with my Cataphract, that's going to be a really good charge for me, because I have infantry support. So his counter charge, it's not a shot cav, so his counter charge won't be that deadly to my Cataphracts. So and I have infantry support, so I can cycle out and it'll basically be a free charge. So here, again, if he wants a counter charge, he has to do it now, but even now it might be too late, and I'll probably get a double charge on both of these 2 units if he tries it, so that's really good for me. You can see I'm already shooting his general. Again, these guys are, no shields, so they'll be very weak, and they don't even have a the health or armor of a Cataphract, so also being the gen, it's a great target. And you can see what I'm doing with my horse archers now is I'm just posting them up behind his lines, and now he has to worry about them, his own horse archers, whereas mine are already in position to get rear shots on everything. And if he doesn't block my horse archers with his, I'll be able to shoot his noble blood cap or his Bactrian nobles, and that'll be very good. So here comes the charge. You can see both instantly targeting, and let's see, he does go for the charge. He does go for the charge, but exactly like I said, I'm gonna get a double charge here. He's gonna get a double charge on my Eastern Spears, but you can see, look, my Cartly Axemen are completely safe, and that's like a perfect double charge basically. It would have been better if he didn't hit this Eastern Spearman, but it's not a huge deal since that's a meat shield unit. But look, these Cartly Axemen, he actually did hit a few of them. Looks like maybe some of them are knocked over. But you can see the majority of them are getting their charge here. His unit of Thorax Swords, this is a pikeman over here. His Thorax Swords is down here in melee, not getting a charge, and obviously the charge bonus is a huge advantage. And you can see immediately, I hit him, my infantry's coming, I'm pulling out. I'm not going to stay in melee. My archers are here shooting his cav, and again, if he pushes here, I'll just retreat my archers, but I'm going to take the free shots if I can get them. I don't care what his Syrians are shooting, as long as it's not my cav. So again, perfect double charge here. You can see my axemen. Actually, I had to kind of get the angle here because of his pikemen, but his Thorax Swords got hit. My guys are at 120 men. His Thorax Swords are not getting a charge here. And I am getting a perfect charge, so this is really good for me. My Cataphract got out with 1 loss, his noble horse 3 losses, and again the HP damage on these noble horse will be much bigger. And again, I'm behind him with my horse archers, and now basically I see, look how much of his army is over here. Now I want to take a flank, and taking flanks with your Cataphracts is a huge advantage, especially in Cataphract versus non-Cataphract, because in Cataphract versus non-Cataphract games, the infantry is definitely more of a factor, right? Because, for example, Sfado, he's relying on his infantry a bit more than I am, right? I'm relying on my Cataphracts to do the job, he's relying on his infantry. But if I can get units to the flank, and you can see where my infantry is positioned right now, I'm sending all my guys to this flank, then I can get around the flank, and then rear charges become a huge possibility. So, those are the 2 types of charges you want to get. One is pre-charging enemy infantry so that your infantry can follow up, and the second is rear charges, because rear charges will do morale damage, and also they will do better kills in general. So I'm going for this flank. I'm giving up this flank completely. I have my melee cav on this flank, right, because this melee cav is not going to be doing that much damage on the rear charges, so I can let it sit back here and chill. And if he brings up a pressure here, I can stop it with the melee cav. I don't have to worry about getting as many charges. And so again, here I don't even charge these 2 guys. I'm actually blocking this guy with a few of my men that were charging from this side, I think. And again, massive charge in here, and I even get a second charge here. Not a great charge again because these Cataphracts have their slow turn radius, but I get a second charge nonetheless. And you can see this noble horse was engaged before where it got shot, and now that has lower HP. Look how fast it's dying on the charge. And my Cataphracts still dying a bit because they did get hit by this Bactrian Royal Cav in the flank. But I want to create a blob here, because now look how much of support I have. I have my general here and another Cataphract and 2 infantry units running around this flank. My charge actually killed off this Bactrian Hillman, and my archers are in range of this Bactrian Royal Cav. I don't care if this Eastern Cataphract gets a lot of shots taken on it. It's only one of my Cav units. I'm getting shots into his gen, which is much more valuable. And also I have better support here. You can see this unit just threw a javelin volley. I didn't take any javelin volleys on my Eastern Cataphracts. And look how fast this noble horse is now dying. And you can see my horse archers, he's doing a good job, Sfado, of blocking them off and actually getting shots with his own horse archers. But now I'm bringing up my horse archers into the flank here, and they can start just destroying these horse archers if he's not careful, and then I'll have a lot of ammo in the late game. Here again, infantry comes, immediately pull out the cav. Only lost 15 men so far. This guy's down to 30 men, so he's lost 30 men, and this guy has lost a few men. We'll start to lose some HP. And again, I've completely given up this flank. I have just some reserve units here, and my horse archers are even coming to this flank, because you want to have your horse archers at the point of conflict that's going to matter most, because they can then shoot up cav and support the fight, whereas if they were over here, that could be causing a little bit of trouble to this one unit, but this is not an active sector of the battlefield, so it's not very important. We can see the main battle is going on here, where I've tied down. He only had 2 good infantry units, his Thorax Swords, and he had 4 pikes. So I'm tying down the 1 mobile unit, and then I'm pushing around the flank where he has no mobility except for these pikemen. Well, these pikemen really can't move once they go into phalanx. So that'll be allow me to get around the flank with my superior cav and better mobility in that regard. Safado also does a good job of bringing all 4 of his horse archers here, but you can see what's happening is now these guys are behind him, and once these horse archers get here, we're going to be shooting from both sides, and our pressure is coming from the front. So these horse archers are going to start to get surrounded, and you want to try to corral the enemy horse archers so you can get better shots than your opponent. So that's why on the beginning you start on the flanks here, because then you're directly shooting frontally, and it's easier to dodge. If you have units behind and from the flank, you can only run this way, but then you're going to get shot in the back by these units, and you can only shoot the front of my unit, so it's definitely much better for me. And also just you're surrounded, and if you make one micro mistake, one cav charge can get into those horse archers, and it just puts a lot more pressure on you. So surrounding, obviously, is always really beneficial. So, again, here he goes for a charge. I don't have any units, Cataphracts in this area, but it's only a hillman. I'm not really concerned. I have my own hillman here. Also, Cartly Axemen are killing these pikes off. And you can see, look at this unit down to 30 men, and now my pressure, all 3 of my Cataphracts are lined up on this flank to bust through here. Again, not much infantry for him. He's trying to run this unit over here, but I still have a reserve Cartly Axemen, one of the best infantry unit on the entire battlefield, is right here in support of my 3 Cataphracts. My Cappadocian's just holding down this flank again, not really trying to actively push on this flank, and I just have some reserve infantry over here. You can see now my horse archers are coming to pressure, because when my cav charges here, his horse archers have to run away, and then I'm going to get free shots on them. So let's just see how this is going. I didn't want him to charge this unit, so I had to run it back a little bit, but now I'm ready to come. All these cav units are coming over here, and again I have way more cav than he does, and you can see exactly what's happening here. I'm getting free shots, he has to run into my arrows, and I'm running away from his, so I'll hopefully be able to dodge a bit more. I was a bit slow, but you can see much better shots from me, and his horse archers are starting to lose men. I get another charge on this flank of this pikeman. Again, nice charge on the pikes. And again, I have 2 units here. I want to hit this engagement. You can see my Cataphracts getting way out in front. Does he even get a charge? He does get a charge, but it's not going to be a double charge. My Cartly Axemen are getting their charge fully on this unit, and then they can support this fight here. And again, look how many of these backtrained noble horse are dying. This unit was getting shot. I think it was the one that was over here. And it was getting shot immediately down to 20 men off the charge. Here, he tries to catch my horse archers, but I just dodge it, and then I get a free charge with my royals. He tries to run away, but he's too slow. I hit the charge animation. Free kills for me. And then over here, I pull out my Cataphract again, pulling out from his axeman. He tries to chase, but look how many losses he's taking, because he's running into all of my fire, and he's running through an axe unit here. So he's going to lose this unit, and I have a second charge lined up with this lower Cataphract unit. Here he does sneak through with his 1 unit because I was engaged with my reserve Cappadocian over here. But again, I have an infantry unit, cycle out, immediately cycle out. My horse archers are on the back lines here shooting this unit. And again, I cycle again this low Cataphract unit. My royal is over here, 60 men, no problem, can kill this unit off. And my other Cataphract is just getting free charges everywhere. And he only has 2 cav units that are left. And again, my cycle charge, look what it allows me to do. It allows me to catch his noble horse here. And it's only down to 18 men. My Eastern Spearman's tying down this backtrained noble horse, which is down to 20 men. And that's perfect for me. Now his cavalry is much less depleted. I get a charge here. Just barely, but I do. And this backtrained noble horse doesn't stand a chance. My horse archers are here to just support every fight. My archers, you can see, are shooting his general. Of course, the highest value target. And now look at this Cataphract can come in to support. And against cavalry, right, or even against infantry, right, cycling with another cav unit is perfectly acceptable too. If you're going to cycle here, you get a second charge with another Cataphract, and you can cycle this unit out. So that's similar to using infantry, except you get a better charge. But usually you want to do it with infantry so you can charge more places at once in the beginning of the battle. But here the battle is in the late game, so another charge here with this Eastern Cataphract will do great damage to this noble horse. Allow my general to retreat from these potentially dangerous horse archers and hit maybe the rear of this unit here. So, let's see what happens here. Again, my horse archers are still in the rear here. I think he shot up one with his gen. But my Cappadocian cap is in good shape. It's going to come and take out this guy. Eastern Spearman, again, doing a really good job of tying down the enemy horsemen. Nice. Here comes the second charge here. I didn't even have to cycle because I'm going to kill off this unit. But I could now pull out this unit. Actually do it now. His general got shot up by my archers, who are, again, uncontested. Look at another thing. His archers are running around here. His horse archers have to run away. My archers are sitting here uncontested, getting 3 shots and actually killing his gen. So, that's a perfect situation for me. Horse archers can just support this fight and end this unit even faster. My general actually kind of got stuck here trying to pull out, but he can still do it safely because my other Cataphracts here. And got a trample charge, or battle rhythm there. And here I just sacrificed this horse archer to kill off a archer unit here. His horse archers are not good at melee either. and I'll just tie this down, and my archers or my cataphracts can finish the job. As you can see, they're going to do that now. So again, you can see the advantage is every time he tried to charge me with his noble horse, I would just charge in and cycle out with my Cataphract. So it's not like I was in a lot of melee. If I was staying in melee, those Bactrian noble horse would give a hard time for my my Cataphracts, but I wasn't ever in melee for too long, whereas his guys were stuck in blobs and getting shot up by my archers. My Cataphracts were cycling and getting new charges every time. If I keep getting new charges, by the second or third time, that's a pretty general rule. By the second or third charge that you get on the same unit, especially if it gets shot, then it's even the second charge or first charge. Then your Cataphracts, by the second or third charge, are going to start destroying enemy cavalry units like entirely on the charge because they're going to be such low HP. And that's exactly what my Cataphracts did. So you can see they didn't even get that many kills, but they were doing the initial HP damage. That's the other thing about Cataphracts, right? By getting a charge, for example, on that Thorax sword, you can see it only gets 38 kills because it got hit by my one of my cav units. It didn't do that much kills, probably got maybe like 10 kills on the charge, but it lowered the HP significantly. My Axeman, not even Cartley, came in there and finished it off with only 38 kills for that Thorax sword. That's the power of Cataphracts. And melee cap can do that to a lesser degree, but Cataphracts are going to be much better because their charge and their impact damage is so much higher. And so my infantry ended up being kind of the stars of the show, even though my Cataphracts were really doing the main work, because they also killed all 5 of his noble horse alongside my Cappadocian cav. All 5 of his cav, that is 4 noble horse and the gen, and they didn't do anything to me either, and I still had a lot of Cataphracts surviving. Horse archers did okay. You can see they were just sort of sitting in behind his lines. You can see 86 kills here, not bad. 22, 29, 54, decent kills, a lot of ammo left. And again, my archers were targeting his units better. He did some good targeting with the Syrians, but I was targeting his general, and again, his general was a really, really high value target since it has less armor and no shields, whereas my Cataphracts will take a while to die to these Syrians since they only have 35 missile damage. So that's, I think that's a good example of like Eastern fight where only one side has Cataphracts, and that's the benefit of having those Cataphracts. It's probably why Armenia is slightly better. Okay, next up we have, let's do, Cataphracts against a, or sort of like a late game army against, barbarians. So I think I have, I gotta find it, hold on a sec. We gotta do it by save date. Oh, maybe I don't have it here. That would be unfortunate, but yeah, I don't think I have that battle. But we can actually do a different late game. Oh, actually I do have it. Nice. Perfect. Let's get into it. So this is Parthia versus again Galicia, one of the best barbarian factions for sure. Deathstream factions though. I'm playing Parthia. And again, we'll see how my charges go, but also how facing barbarians is slightly different. So, let's... Alright, so the difference here is we're facing a barbarian faction now, right? And they have similar units to Bactria. I mean, like, they have the Cappadocians, who are very similar to Noble Horse. They have Jaucav, which is also obviously crucial against Parthia. They have the Syrians again, so it's actually kind of similar, but the key, right, is that now we have really, really good infantry. So, whereas before I was able to kind of destroy his infantry with kind of weaker infantry of my own because I had got those nice charges, it's going to be hard against Galatian legionaries, right? They're not going to take, they're going to destroy my Parthian infantry very, very fast. So, it's really, this game is really down to the Cataphracts. The Cataphracts have to clutch this, and the horse archers, of course, and the missile units. Those are the keys, to this battle, 100%. So, let's go over my army quickly. I have 3 regular Cataphracts, 1 Camel Cataract, 1 Royal Cataphract, 4 Horse Archers, 3 Parthian Foot Archers, 4 Hillmen, and 2 Persian Hoplites, 2 Parthian Swords. Ragnar here's got 3 Syrians up front, very nice because they can kill Cataphracts pretty effectively, better than the Slingers, although I might prefer bringing Slingers here. He also has some meat shield units with the Levy Freeman. He's got 2 Cappadocians, 1 Noble Horse, 2 Galatian Raiders, 1 Mercenary Horse Skirmisher, and a bunch of nice spear support with 3 Galatian Spears, and 2 Galatian Swords in the back here for extra dabs, and I think I said 2 Levy Free. So the battle's going to start out with just skirmishing here. I'm trying to kill off these horse archers, because again, or these jab cav, because again, these jab cav will do a lot of damage to my Cataphracts, and also they kill my horse archers in melee, especially the Galatian Raiders. So I am just trying to get shots, but Ragnar is doing a good job of mostly avoiding any damage here. I got a nice volley, but he's also using his levy free to support this. Here he does go for the chase, but I split up. He's again Scythian or Sarmatian horse archers, very slow. These horse skirmishers can absolutely catch up to them and kill them off. It's a very common tactic. Numidia can do the same thing with Numidian cav. Because Numidian cav are so fast. So you can see I'm spamming attack order, or move order, sorry, trying to get out of here. His melee attack is so low on these horse skirmishers, they're not killing very many, but they're from the rear and throwing some javelins, so they will kill off. Whereas this other horse archer is getting rear shots, so I'm also killing off his horse skirmisher, but this horse archer is probably going to die. Here I was able to escape. Galatian rears are a bit slower than the horse skirmishers. I want to say that's probably true. Here you can see the Syrians are shooting up my meat shields. So, kind of interesting from Ragnar, he didn't make a meat shield line, so if he doesn't make a meat shield line, then I am going to try to charge his infantry with my cav, of course. That's, I have to do it. If he had a meat shield line, then it probably would be a little bit weirder. I would probably engage his meat shield, his levy free, with my hillman, because my hillman will win that, and it'll force his legionnaires forward, or his levy free will just die, and then I would run away my hillman and then charge my Cataphract. So it's a bit different. Here he will get nice javelin volleys though, because he has 2 lines of infantry here and a lot more infantry than I have cav. He has 6 here, and I'm only going to charge 4 probably of my cav, since I will leave my general safe. And what that means is that he'll probably get a lot of javelins on my cav, and then he's just hoping that his infantry can carry the day, and his cav will be relatively safe. I don't think he'll try to charge out his cav, because Galatia only has 3 cav, and if he loses any cav, it'll make his whole army easily surrounded and destroyed. So, let's see here. I'm just trying to survive with this horse archer, but it's down to 15 men. Horse skirmisher is also down to 10 men, so probably both were pretty much dead here. Let's check the charges here. You can also see how much faster this Camel Cataract is. I actually just had to retreat here because I was not in position for this. But here, you can see I wasn't going for that charge, but again, it would be way too early, and he would get 3 javelin volleys on my Camel Cataract, which is again the lowest HP unit, so I couldn't afford to do that. So now I'm running forward kind of in system here. All my units are kind of together. I'm immediately shooting his general with my Parthian foot archers, and these guys have 40 damage, so they're going to do massive damage here. So you can see here I've already lined up this charge, and again, he's not going to try to even defend again with his cav. Here he does get me, here I wasn't really paying attention, so he gets a nice charge, but I will kind of catch the Cappadocian cav. I get a free cav charge into his Galatian spears, and here again, I get free charges everywhere. Nice charges there, across the line, but it was something that he allowed to happen. And it's fine, it's not the end of the world for Galatia to do that, because his infantry is so much better that one charge will kill like 20 men tops, and he'll still destroy my Parthian swords so easily with these legionnaires. And he also has way more infantry than I do in general, so it's not a problem. Here, again, he's charging his Cappadocian late, trying to get a counter charge. That's fine for him. But now he lost his support, so now he has to bring in another support unit. My person top lights will do decent damage to his cav, and I get a second charge with my Camel Cataphract here. Again, my focus is always going to be kill off the cav first. You kill off the cav first, then your cav is free to just hit rear charges all day. These Cappadocians are going to become stronger and stronger in the late game, because my Cataphracts will be lower and lower in HP and numbers, so they won't be able to kill these guys. But you can see I'm already getting into his guys. My horse archers are targeting his general. I get a double charge onto his general here with 2 units, and look, they took 1 or 2 volleys from my Parthian foot archers, and immediately after 1 charge, they're already down to 40 men. That wouldn't happen otherwise. Usually, a noble horse can survive 2 Cataphract charges. Now they can't even survive 1 because they took so much missile fire, and I'm also just focusing it heavily. Here he does a nice job surrounding with his raiders. He also has a levy free here that can come and pressure my archers later. And his raiders does kill this unit for free. I try to cycle a Parthian sword, and I get my Cataphracts in here. So he will start taking a lot of damage, because the Galatian raiders can't take Cataphract charges. They will die. But I have to pull out here because he's breaking through. Here his Cataphract, his Cappadocians are getting through. And also these Galatian spears, and the Galatian spears will do a lot of damage. Over here on the flank though, you can see isolated cav unit. I'm immediately targeting with my horse archers. It's a very easy target, and I will kill it off very quickly. Here levy free was pressuring my rear, but it's not a big deal. His Syrians are targeting my general, but my general is going to survive much longer than his general. And you can see, there it goes. And now his morale is going to be much less. But you can see how fast my infantry dies. Look at this. Galatian legionnaires, they got charged, but they only lost like 5 men after the charge. They're breaking through, and now they're pressuring my archers. But this is where it's okay to go to the late game. So this is like classic kiting, right? When you're kiting, you want to kill off the enemy cav, and then get to the late game with your archers and your cav alive. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Look, cav dead. His other Cappadocian is here with 40 men, but it's gonna die. His raiders are going for something they shouldn't go for. They're gonna die, and I still have my horse archers alive. His general is dead, so his morale is bad, and all 5 of my Cataphracts are alive. So this is good to go into the late game. Oh, sorry, shouldn't have done that. He actually pulls out here. Right decision. You need to keep your raiders alive because they can kill archers in the late game. Here you can see I'm pulling out my formation horse archers. I'm trying to focus down these raiders, and I get a good volley here, which really does a lot of damage. And because the general's dead, they do not enjoy that at all, and they lost a lot of men there. But now, so basically now I have an infantry unit. Again, I have an infantry unit, so I can cycle out here. And now it just comes down to me trying to preserve my Cataphracts, and now I can just surround these Galatian legionaries and charge them from all sides. And my other Parthian sword is actually alive here because Parthian swords at least can survive pretty long against the Galatian legionaries. Maybe even win with the right archer support if the Galatian legionaries get charged. So I'm managing to pull out, and that's the second stage, right? So we did a melee engagement, and we'll talk more about kiting in the next video, but we did a melee engagement, which allowed me to kill off his cav, and now I'm surviving with my cav and my archers, and I'm trying to get a better engagement. I don't want to just go into this blob here because he has a lot of support, and his, javelins and stuff. I'm recycling, I'm resetting over here, and now I can reform and face these Galatian legionaries in a way of my own choosing. Horse archers are going to go chase off these Galatian raiders and kill them off. They're a big threat to my archers, like I said. So here's his last cav unit. Big, crucial for me to kill it off doing that now. These javelins will kill a lot of his own men. I have still 49 men here, 52 men here. My general's at 42, so I'm in good shape. Archer's now getting rear shots, perfect. His archers are under threat from my horse archer in the rear. And again, my horse archer still have a lot of ammo, so this is perfectly fine. Here, he's again recycling his raiders, but I'm getting good shots and killing them off. And once these raiders are dying, and his Cappadocian is dead, he's not going to have any cav left on the field. And you can see, once these guys are low HP, these Cataphract charges are going to do so much damage. And look, you can see just how fast they're dropping there. 49, already down to 50 men. The Spearman took the brunt of that charge, and it's going to rout. And just, yeah, again, down to 42. And you can see, these guys are isolated without support, no cav support. They're just dead. This Cappadocian actually does a good job getting into my archer unit, but it will die to this hillman. His archers can't support. His archers would love to be shooting this blob, but I'm actually just pressuring them out with a random Parthian sword infantry unit that I had. Probably will maybe win against his Galatian swords, but not with the archer support. But it's just pressuring up his archers to make sure they can't shoot my Cataphracts. Again, that's the main threat for my Cataphracts. His raiders get in here, but my gen's here to clean everything up. And again, his Galatian legionaries may be decent in numbers here. 60 men, not terrible. 20 men, that's pretty low. And 66, but they're so low on HP for taking that initial charge. Again, those initial charges at the start of the battle do so much HP damage that these guys are now dead in a couple more charges. So we can just kind of skip through here. And you can see now, I'm doing things at my own pace, right? I'm not fighting in a blob where all his legions are. Now they're spread out, and it's just one unit at a time. I can just kill them without taking massive javelin damage, getting rear charges only, and you can see like they're just gonna start routing immediately. Cappadocian Cap's still alive somehow with 2 men, but these guys turn around to fight this unit. My gen's gonna smash it, and over here I'm just tying down his archers so that these units can win, and I have my archers alive still as well, so this should be completely over. And again, this horse archer is surviving, this horse archer is surviving, so I had a few horse archers survive. And again, nice charge here, just gonna smack everything. I blocked this levy free. I didn't really know if you caught that, but I charged my 9-man Cataphract unit into the levy freeman to stop it from throwing javelins into this whole blob of Cataphracts here that was much more healthy. So again, sacrificing 1 unit to prevent javelins from coming at my entire army. And my archers here can just start shooting these guys too. You can see these Galatian legionaries, even though they're low on HP, will still kill off these weaker units, but my more healthy Cataphracts are gonna just trash these guys pretty much. In the late game, nothing can stop Cataphracts if there's no enemy cav on the field, so that's a convincing win. So I think those are some good examples of Cataphracts against barbarians, and against other Cataphracts, and against Eastern factions, so kind of the 3 main ways of using Cataphracts. Now I think we're going to show one more game, I think, and that's going to be not Cataphracts, but more just like missile play, and kind of late game strategies, like playing for the late game, and that's going to be Numidia versus Galatia. So again, facing a very powerful faction in Galatia with a lesser faction supposedly in Numidia. Let's see if I can find it. How about that? It's way before this. It's Wait for this. Wait for that. For this. Okay, here. So let's get into it. So this is not exactly kiting because I actually don't have any actual long-range missile units. But it is going to talk about how positioning, and this is obviously completely relevant for kiting, how positioning your army to get the best engagements possible is crucial for facing like stronger units with weaker units. And obviously I have a huge advantage here in the fact that I have these 4 or 3 missile cav. These armored Numidian cavs are way better than the Galatian raiders that Ragnar has here for Galicia, but it's all about how we use these guys to play to use them in the right scenarios, right? And we'll see how that goes. So quickly, my army is pretty standard. I have 3 Desert Legionnaires, 1 Desert Cohort, and 1 Numidian Light Infantry. I have 1 Armored Numidian Spearman. I have 4 Desert Vigiles, 3 Armored Numidian Armored Desert Cav, sorry, 3 Armored Numidian Cavalry, and 4 Peltists here, the heavy Numidian Skirmishers, including my Gen. Ragnar here, he's got 3 Syrians, 1 Celtic to shoot up my infantry. He has 4 Galatian Legionnaires. He has 1 Naked Sword, 1 Galatian Nobleman, 2 Cappadocian Cav. Quickly here, you can see I'm using the Numidians are actually faster than the Galatian Raiders here, so I'm chasing, and so all my shots will be rear shots here. And obviously I have much better armor on my Cav, so he won't really be able to do much. I'm gonna kill off this unit. So again, if he ever gets too close, then I chase. Otherwise I keep dodging, doing the normal run and dodge thing. If he gets too close, I'm gonna take this and chase. This unit probably shouldn't be chasing, it's a little bit too far, so I stop and just avoid taking an unnecessary fire, but I kill off one Galatian Raider for free. And that's always something you want to do when you have better horse archers or better Jav Cav. Pressure, get into the rear, because if you get near the rear, again, that's going to force him to start turning units backwards and trying to dodge shots on his own Cav. So that's obviously crucial. Here you can see again he gets kind of close. Unfortunately they take a shot on this unit instead of on this unit, so I have to give up because he's going to get away. Also just to round out Ragnar's army, he has 2 Levy Free and 3 Spear Warriors here, Galatian Spears. So here, now we're doing this dance here. I'm just not trying to engage it. I want to kill off his Galatian Raiders completely before I even try to make a fight here. So I'm just waiting with my infantry, trying to stay kind of far away from Ragnar's main force, because obviously his infantry is much stronger than mine, and his cavalry is better. My only advantage is the Peltists, if I can use them properly, and the 3 Jav Cav here. Now I'm resting. You can also see I'm resting my Cav here. They're now active. Looks like active, all 3 of them. Whereas his Cav are tired. So that's going to give me a huge stamina advantage, and that's going to make these guys way less effective. They can't run away from my Cav, and they'll just get caught easily. So maintaining stamina is super important when you're kiting. And this is kiting, I guess, for now, as I'm just trying to get a better position. I mean, I'm not trying to shoot and kite, but I am running away to get a better position. And you can see he's just doing this unnecessary running. I don't know why you'd be running around here. There's literally not doing anything. I have Peltists here. You can never get to the rear of my army. And now what I do is my guys are fresh, so I send out 1 unit to chase both of these units around. I'm just going to get them very tired. And again, this unit's fresh. These guys are tired, so I can maybe even catch these guys and kill them off. Whereas these 2 guys are going to go behind his army and cause problems there. So now I decide, like, okay, we got to take the fight, because I was actually getting shot up here pretty significantly from his Syrians. Lost a few men there, don't want to lose any more. So I'm going to come for the fight. I have guys in his rear, and you can see what I'm doing is because I have guys kind of surrounding, he's very compact, and I'm very wide. And now I have my better side of my army here with an Armored Numidian Spear, and I'm already, you can see, it's out on the flank here with this Cav, and I'm going to push the flank, and what that's going to do is instead of getting only frontal shots to my Peltists, and again, my Peltists are crucial to kill his infantry. Nothing else can kill his infantry, at least until the late game. So instead of getting frontal shots, which are going to do minimal damage, I'm going onto the right side, which is the unshielded side, and the rear, and I'm going to get rear shots into his Galatian Legionnaires, and we'll see how effective that is in a second here. So, going for the engagement, again, his Syrians are doing massive damage to my front lines here. He gets a charge here, we're just doing their charge thing, whatever. Kind of get a good charge on him there. And here, my Vigilias are going to go in, and so I've tied down the flank unit here. I have a good spear unit here that can kill any of his spear units, except for his gen. And here you can see, that's allowing me to push this flank, and also my Jav Cav is here to support this flank with a Peltis, and this Peltis can shoot up his infantry. My general is trying to get some shots. These are only frontal shots, they're really not that great, but better than nothing. And you can see, look at the way I run away. Instead of running away, unfortunately they get blocked, but I was trying to run this way. Because if I run this way, my general can sit here, and I can shoot him in the flank, and this unit can charge him in the flank. Rather than just running straight back, because then my general also has to run straight back, and I haven't gained an advantage. Oh shit, didn't mean to do that. Here I get a nice charge with my Dominion Light Infantry into his Galatian Spear, killing that unit off. His Naked Swords are coming, but I can cycle out my Light Infantry with the Vigilia, and I have a Cav unit here to hit the the Naked Swords. Here I kind of dodge this Galatian sword, this Galatian Legionnaire, sorry, and I'm getting rear javelins here, and you can see, look at what happened here. He turned to face this other unit, and now his right side is exposed to my entire line of Peltis there, so it's going to get excellent shots, and this unit's also trying to get some flank shots, so I'm trying to get maximum flank shots with my Peltis, flank shots only, and now these two Peltis are coming around the flank, where I'm going to have massive pressure, and this Armored Dominion Cav was chasing off these Galatian Raiders, who really can't really do anything at the moment. My Cav is charging these Naked Swords, so that's pretty decent. And again, he doesn't want to use his Cav too early on, except for in easy situations, because he only has 2 Cav, and I have my 3 melee Cav plus my 3 really good melee, basically melee Cav in the form of the Jav Cav. So here I'm going to charge in my Desert Cohort here to kill off this Galatian Spear. Again, if he charges in here, I have more support coming. Again, he's sort of on the flank of my unit here, so look at these Peltis, perfect flank shots. Here I'm getting nice flank shots, and this guy's actually losing now to my combined Desert Legionnaires there. Over here, his Naked Sword got charged, so it's going to lose to my Dominion Light Infantry. I'm killing off 2 guys, so now I have control of both flanks. And here he has a Galatian Legionnaire doing nothing. I'm just going to kite it out with my spear unit there. And finally, he does what I've always wanted him to do. I wanted him to charge this unit in, because I have perfect flank shots. I'm going to charge it with my Dominion Legionnaire. You can see I immediately pull out my spear unit, and you'll just see how fast this unit dies. My Cav gets a nice angle here. Again, I baited this unit to charge outside of his line. If it was in line with the rest of his army, I couldn't really get that charge. But since it's out of line, I'm getting flank shots, and I'm getting a rear charge here, so I'm going to do really well against that Galatian Legionnaire. And this Galatian Legionnaire only got 46 kills. Easy kill for me, and really nice benefit. Here, again, I'm pulling out my Cav, my spear, sorry, I'm pulling in my Desert Cohort, and it's going to get a very nice charge on this Galatian Legionnaire, which is already down to 104 men. 100 men, actually, put that, because of these 2 Peltis. Now this unit can pull again to the flank. Here he has to use an entire spear unit to guard the flank against my Cav. Did get a nice javelin volley, that shouldn't have happened. But you can see these guys aren't in yellow morale, and these guys are just breaking through the lines here. His Syrians will get nice shots, but it's not a big deal. I'm fine losing these Cav, if it means killing off his infantry. Because now I have still my Jav Cav alive, and a couple of melee Cav, and better spears. And you can see, look, this spear is way better than his Galatian spears. It can charge in there and kill it off. My Vigilias are just baiting themselves. I do not care if these guys die to his noblemen here. I want to kill as many of his archer units as I can. Here I should have got a charge, but it's okay. I'm going to get this guy engaged, and then I have this Peltis unit and these 2 Legionnaires to come in here and kill off this Cappadocian. If I can kill it off, that would be excellent. Meanwhile, I'm going to maybe get a rear charge on that Slinger. I guess I decided not to. But you can see the flank is allowing me to completely collapse over here, kill off this unit. This unit's losing to my javelins that I was throwing in this direction. And I will lose here and over here, but I have an entire flank that's winning. I can collapse on his men. I took an unnecessary javelin blow. I thought this unit was out of javelins. It wasn't. So it kills off quite a few of my Armored Dominion Cav, but I'm going to kill it. This Armored Dominion Spear is going to kill off this Galatian Spear. And you can see I'm just busting through everywhere. I'm putting pressure on his army. Getting into this Cappadocian Cav here with my Spear unit, so that'll do some decent damage there. And this Galatian Legionnaire is going to win. It's at 120 men, hasn't even been engaged. But I'm just tying it down, giving myself time to flank around even more. Now both of his Cappadocians are engaged here. And I'm also pulling this Galatian Spear out of position. His archers are now pretty much undefended, only his generals here, but I'm coming from both directions, so I can afford to just charge in here, and then come from the other side with my Cav to kill off those archers, and these archers are also under threat, because both of his Cav again are tied down right now. They are coming back out to help with the archer situation, but again, this Galatian Legionnaire losing completely to a Desert Cohort, nice. These guys are still probably going to lose here. I'm also busting through over here. So now I've done a really good job surrounding, and I can now collapse. That's the first thing. Surrounding has 2 steps. One, you surround and kill off isolated units on the flanks, and then you need to do a collapse on whatever's remaining from all angles, and that's very hard to stop because you're coming from every direction. You get a lot of charges. These Cappadocians are going to, again, I don't care if this unit dies to this charge. I'm going to tie them down so that I can kill off his archers, and also create a blob here that I can use my missile units and my cav, my jav cav especially. Like you can see throwing javelins into the blob here to get extra shots on these Cappadocians. I get another nice charge on these slingers, killing them off. My vigilants get into the archers so they can't shoot. And again, these Cappadocians will kill off my armored desert cav no problem, but they're going to lose to my spears here. And also this armored Numidian cav jukes this Cappadocian, kills these archers, or at least a lot of them, and then it can run away again. And again here I'm just chasing off his raiders with my peltas. These peltas should be over here though to help this fight. And again, I lost on one flank because I pressured this flank heavily, but that's fine. I have a lot of units winning here. My general can come over to this flank, and now we're tying down his Cappadocian again. Look how fast it died to the combination of spears and cav, and maybe a few javelins. Killing it off. This Cappadocian is way out of position chasing off one unit, and that's the great thing about surrounding, right? He wants to chase off a unit over here, but I'm coming from every direction. So you chase off one direction, 3 other directions are still going to hit your center area and kind of collapse on those units and kill them very easily. Again, these raiders are trying to kill my peltas, but these peltas haven't been touched, so they're going to be completely fine here. I send the cav unit to deal with them. Now I'm just cleaning up his legionaries. Again, I have now 2 legionaries against only 1 of his legionaries survive. These guys are going to get shot up by his archers, though. It's not great. My peltas does start routing here, but he sees that I'm pressuring his archers. You can see here my cav are unopposed, so he has to pull out his cav. And when he does that, this peltas is not going to rout, and in fact, it's going to start throwing javelins into the back of this unit, I think. He actually goes for another charge, so not yet. But again, not routing here, not allowing him to kill anything off because I'm creating pressure with my other units. That's the other thing. When you're surrounding, you create pressure from every angle. He can't deal with one thing. He has to come back to protect his units, which are very concentrated in one area, whereas I only have 1 unit over here. And I have 2 units over here. These guys are coming from over here with their cav, and I have units in the center. So he can't focus on killing any one thing, because if he goes for one thing, I'll come from another angle to kill something else. Again, I'm in square here. He's doing a nice job shooting up these low HP legions, but they will get into the glacial legionnaires and do some damage. He goes again for another charge here with his Cappadocian cav. But again, he can't stay for long because here come my cav to kill his archers, which are much more valuable than his than him killing one of my peltas. This guy was out of ammo, so he tries to bait for it, but now he runs away, and look, my guys still have ammo. So I hit the attack order, and we get some nice javelins, I think. Well, maybe not. Okay, I think that happened earlier. But these guys are now chasing. And now this is his last cav unit, so I'm okay to even make a blob here. I use my armored desert cav, again, my best melee cav unit, to tie down these Cappadocians who are, again, lower on men. My peltas are trying to come to support. He does stop it with these archers for now, but this is a winning fight for me because look, here come my other peltas from the flank, and my jav cav are here to win this fight. My legions are tying down this one Galatian legionnaire. They're going to lose this fight, but they'll win. They'll stay for a long time. And crucially, these peltas are pretty high in HP. I don't think they have any javelins left, or very few javelins left. So I'll use them in the rear of his general, and then I'll just charge them in, and they're very good in melee as well. And I have cav units to recharge his infantry, so this is again completely winning. I've surrounded him, so I'm coming from all sides. His last gas charge here with his Galatian raiders comes in, but again, these peltas will do so much damage in the rear of his gen. I'm also killing off these raiders, and again, my legions are losing, but they're going to hold out here really well. Not killing very much, but just holding. His Cappadocian cav is going down to my armored desert cav. Peltas are coming in here, killing off the rest of his archers who still have ammo. And again, my cav can do some nice recharges here and just lower the morale of these guys. My general comes in here, but I think he just kills off these raiders. Again, the peltas are so good in melee. You can see they're killing off his Galatian noblemen, they're killing off his cav, and my general's still alive here, very healthy, and can recharge the rest of his infantry. So I think that's a good example of how powerful surrounding can be, and how when you're compact, you can't really go and kill any isolated units because you're going to get hit from the other sides, especially once you start killing off the cav. And that's one of the keys to kiting, right? You kill off the enemy cav, and then you just surround, and you use your cav from all sides, rather than just from the front, and you have no fear of being countercharged because all the enemy cav is dead, so that's always a crucial idea. So, this battle's just going to get finished off here as general finally routes, and you can see I have 3 of my 4 peltas still alive here, and 55 men, 38 men, and 43 men, so half strength, and I pull it off. So let's just go over, I guess, the few ideas from this battle, since that was a little bit of a different thing, and maybe I didn't go into as much depth as I should have, but the crucial things for when you're kiting or just trying to get a positional advantage, like my army clearly was one that could get a positional advantage because I have better Jav Cav and better missile units, right? These guys, my peltists can stay out on the flank by themselves because they can't really get charged by enemy Cav because I have my Jav Cav preventing Cav from moving out to the flank, and I have guys that throw 40 damage javelins and have a lot of armor, so they can't really die. So when you're doing that, the idea is you get the positioning on the flank, you push the flank so that you can get nice flank shots and rear charges. And it was the same when I had Parthi against Armenia against Bactria and against Father there. I was pushing one flank so I can get rear charges with my Cataphracts. Here I was pushing the flank so that I can get rear shots with my missile units. So I think those are some of the fundamental ideas where we want to get behind and we want to surround against compact armies so that we can get the best possible angles. If I just shot his Galatian Legionaries from the front, I would not have won that fight. They don't do enough damage from the front. I'm getting right side or rear shot with my missile units that do maximum damage. You saw how fast those Galatian Legionaries lost once I started doing that. And the other thing is just surrounding completely with my Cav and my Jav Cav, so that his archers, when he only had 2 Cav, I could tie down his Cav with some units and then charge his archers with the other units. They couldn't be defended all at the same time. And then I just surrounded his remaining infantry, rear charged them, surrounded them in melee, and that's obviously completely winning. So that's some of the ideas when you're trying to do a kite kind of army. Again, this wasn't exactly kiting, but it was sort of fighting with positional advantage. And finally, I think we'll do a kite battle, since that's sort of a theme that we haven't touched on really. Let's see where it is. Yes, right here. So this is Lusitani versus Arvasi against Tila. Let's check this one out. So obviously this isn't a battle where we're kiting with Cataphracts or something, but the ideas are exactly the same when you're the kiting faction. Let's talk about the fundamentals first of all. What don't we want to happen when we're kiting? So there's 2 sorts of kites. Let's first say this, right? Here you can see I'm kiting because I have 3 Balearics and 2 Iberian slingers, so I put a lot of money in my slingers, so I will be kiting. But you can see it's not like I have no infantry, right? I have 4 veteran shield warriors, 1 Lusitani noble, and an Iberian sword, so I've got a pretty decent amount of infantry. And we'll talk about how that's important. I also have 3 spears, 2 Lusitani gorillas, and 1 Scutaria spear. And I also have 4 cav. And so, what don't we want to happen? If we bring an army like this when we're kiting, if my infantry gets overrun too fast, that's really bad for me, because then I don't have enough time for my slingers to do damage to other units that are important, right? So if my infantry gets overrun, they'll die, and they just start chasing my slingers around. His cav will be alive, and he can just chase my slingers and my cav with his infantry, obviously completely winning for the rushing faction. So, but at the same time, maybe if my infantry let's say I want my infantry to survive for longer, so maybe I'll do a cav charge, right? If I do a cav charge and use infantry, that's good. But okay, what if I lose too much cav? Now my cav's all dead, his infantry is still better, he has 2 nobles, so infantry will win in the long term. Maybe my slingers will now be able to do more damage because I've made the infantry fight longer, but now my cav's all dead and his cav can just chase my slingers around and kill them. So that's not good either. So that kind of illustrates 2 things that we don't want to happen. We don't want my cav needs to survive, but we also want to make the infantry in the fight last as long as possible so my slingers can do the most damage. And then secondly, what do we want to do to his army, right? We're creating an infantry fight. We want to kill his cav. If his infantry wins but his cav is dead, it's completely fine because your slingers will always outlast infantry. They can outrun them, surround them, and just shoot them to death, basically. Obviously, that's basically what the kite is intended to do. So if we kill his cav, perfectly fine, nothing else really matters. And also, we want to be able to kill slingers or enemy missile units when possible. Because let's say I kill his cav, but I lose a lot of my cav, and he has still 3 or 4 slingers left. Now I have to use a lot of ammo of my slingers to kill his slingers. And that's going to take a lot of ammo that I don't then have to shoot his infantry, which will win with a pretty strong amount of numbers left. So So we want to shoot up enemy missiles in the right circumstances, or chase them down with like Jav Cav or my own Cav to kill them off for free. And the other thing is, like, we want to create mismatches, right? We want to create angles that are, just like in the last battle, that are really good for my infantry to do maximum damage, and also for my slingers to get the best shots possible. So quickly, I ran over my army. It's 4 Cav, 2 Jav Cav here, 4 veteran shield warriors, 1 Lusitani noble, 1 Iberian sword, 3 Balearics, and 2 Iberian slingers with a Scutarii spear in the center, and 2 Lusitani guerrillas on the flanks. For Tila here, he's got a pretty infantry heavy army. He only has 3 Celtiberian Cav and 2 Jav Cav. Also, I should just mention, Jav Cav are absolutely essential if you're kiting, because if I don't have Jav Cav, his Jav Cav can just pressure the rear, and I can't run away with my slingers because they'll just die to his Jav Cav. So you definitely need Jav Cav if you're going to kite. Very, very crucial. Unless the enemy can't bring a Jav Cav, then you're fine to not bring it yourself. But these guys are super useful because they can also kill his slingers. So you can see here's a nice idea where I have 3 slingers to his 1. So I'm going to try to shoot up this Balearic, because it's a very valuable unit, as much as I can, because I don't need to shoot his infantry yet. We haven't even engaged in the infantry fight, right? And my slingers are going to do more and more damage to infantry the later the battle goes on, because they'll be lower HP. So you can see I'm just shooting and then running away, trying to disorient his army. I should note, though, that actually running away and shooting and running away is usually not that good if the enemy has any decent missiles, because these Balearics are getting rear shots on my slingers, wasting my ammo for free, basically. But you can still do it a little bit, because what it will do is it'll disorient or disorganize the enemy's lines, and that will allow you to get better infantry engagement. So we'll kind of see how that works in a second here. So quickly, Tila's army is a mix of Scutarii and Iberian spears up front. He has 2 noble fighters, 4 Scutarii, 3 Celtiberian Cav, 2 Cantabrian Cav, I think it's 2 Balearics, and 1 Iberian Slinger. So pretty balanced army overall, but I do have a Cav advantage. And what that means is I'm willing to sacrifice my Cav to kill his Cav, because I'll have more Cav, so I'll have an extra Cav unit remaining, and that'll be really good for me. So so I'm running away here again. You can see I'm running to the flanks again. Positional advantage here. I have better missile units. I want to be on the flanks so I can get side shots, not frontal shots, and force him to spread out so that I can isolate certain parts of his army, kill it off, and then run away in other areas. So again, we're just doing a Jav Cav fight on the flank here, as in many battles, pretty normal. Here I'm running away with my slingers. Here I'm running forward with my Lusitani guerrillas, just trying to do some javelin damage. Again, these guys have a lot of javelins, so I don't mind using a few javelins to lower the HP of the Scutarii spears. Here again, his Balearics are running forward, but I'm getting flank shots on them with this Balearic Slinger, so I'm going to do good damage to his Slinger units early on. Again, that was one of the keys, is we don't want his Slingers to be super healthy in the late game, because I have to use a lot of ammo to kill them. Here he did a good job of trying to catch Cantabrian, but I just run away, and he actually ends up losing more men here because he took a couple extra javelin volleys. He ends up with a little more men, because but again, we're just trading javelin volleys here, we're both losing a lot of men. So now he's coming forward here. He takes a nice javelin volley on my slingers, but that's only 3 slingers lost, and to use a javelin volley on that, it's not necessarily great, because he needs his javelins to kill my Cav. Here I'm just, again, I'm having to take this Cav fight. I have support nearby. He does a nice job of baiting this out, though. He's going to get into my Lusitani guerrillas for free, but it's not terrible for me, because I have so much support nearby. Here again, I don't want to take this fight yet, because he has his noble fighter nearby. I need to shift over here my entire force, and let these guys be kind of exposed on the flanks. Here again, I'm killing off his Cantabrian kind of over there, so that's nice. Here I go for a nice charge, but I do have to turn away because the Scutarii get there. But now see I have another Cav here supporting, and now I have a spear unit here. So now I'm like, okay, let's just take this fight with my spears, so that my spears can deal some damage to his Celtiberian Cav. My 2 slingers immediately target this unit, but Tila does a good job of running away here, not taking this fight. He has a Scutarii here to take this fight. Here, I got a free charge with my veteran shield warriors on the Scutarii spear, basically killing that unit for free. And again, his support wasn't close enough because I was doing this running away thing, and these guys are just a little bit faster, so they're running away from his noble fighters basically, and allowing me to get a free kill there. I cycle in my other veteran shield warrior here to allow this guy to escape, killing this unit off. And Tila's being very aggressive with his Cav, and that's not good for him because I'm going to be able to focus these units down, and once these Cav die, I'm perfectly good to kite, basically. You can see this unit already lost 6 men, pretty good for me. I'm trying to run away here with this Lusitani girl because it doesn't stand a chance against this Scutarii. This Cav goes for a charge to try to pin down this Celtiberian Cav so that I can kill them with more of my slingers, but it's not really going well. But here I see his gens engaged with like a couple other units, so I actually bring my general in here to create a big blob, because I know what it'll do is it'll create a way, an access point that he can't run through. I'm gonna cycle out these 2 veteran shield warriors so they can kill this Scutarii and this spearman, and basically what that means is I've locked down this entire flank. Nothing's gonna break through here, because if units break through onto your skirmishers, that's awful when you're kiting, right? You're hoping your infantry battle is taking a long time, specifically so that you can shoot up enemy infantry. If they have like even a cheap spear running at your slingers and you have to run away and then charge them with your cav and then reform your slingers, turn around, shoot, that's a lot of wasted time that you could have been shooting up enemy cav or enemy good infantry targets, basically. So I'm creating a lockdown here where basically the only place he can push is the furthest away, where he's really far away with these units. He could break through here easily, but in the center I have my Iberian swords, a veteran shield warrior, my general, and 2 more veteran shield warriors here that are going to lock down this flank and prevent him from breaking through. So let's see how that goes. My general, first of all, gets a very nice charge into all of these units for free. His general doesn't get a charge, so that's good for my gen. He's going to do well in that fight. Iberian swords fighting Scutarii spears. Great engagement for me. They'll do very well against spears. And now my veteran shield warriors get into his Scutarii. Again, matchups are very favorable there. He still has a lot of units on this flank that aren't even engaged, so that's allowing me to have this time where I can position my men and shoot up his cav. You can see this cav is already very low at 36 men. So is my cav, but again I have 4 cav and he only has 3 cav, so this is fine for me. I get a nice rear charge here. He didn't want to take this fight? Fine, I'll just recharge your Scutarii, and now my infantry will last even longer. You get a counter charge here, but again, my slingers are perfectly ready to start shooting at any cav that get in range, and my infantry can do a little bit of damage to those Scout Liberians as well. So now he's finally activating a lot of infantry that was not activated previously, and so they're going to bust through here pretty easily. This is only an Iberian, so it's going to die to this Scutarii. He's also shooting my general with his slingers, a good target for him. Here we trade off cav, but again, my cav is at 60, his is at 25. I'm going to win this fight. And here, his Celtiberian cav is already down to 46, and this blob is going very well for me, since I have this veteran shield warrior that I've cycled out and can recharge here. He managed to get a Cantabrian cav into my slinger, but it's just a Cantabrian cav. Not really gonna do that much. Here, this cavalry took like an adventure through my ranks, but these are all spearmen with javelins, and I have a lot of cav in support, and my slingers just immediately focus this unit down. You can see massive damage, javelins. This unit was at 60 men, it's now at 28, and now it's at 25. So he lost an entire cav unit for nothing here, and if you look at the health of the cav on the field, he has 1 unit at 42, I have this unit at 58, this unit at 60, and this unit at 56. So my cav is in very good shape. My slingers are freely firing, except for over here, where this cav is sort of running through my lines. Sorry, one sec, I accidentally turned off my monitor. Okay. Back. Here this cav is breaking through, but again, it's at 25 men. It's surrounded by my very healthy cav. It's going to die. This cav is going to survive because he brings in support. But again, my lock on this flank is still secure because I have another veteran shield warrior here at 120. Actually, 2 units of veteran shield warriors at 120. Which can stop him from busting in the center and stop him from busting through this flank, at least for a little while. So at this point, I already feel really good about my position because I have so much cav and all my slingers are alive. His slingers have taken some damage. This unit's at 60. These guys are full, but this guy lost a few men. But this is really good for me. And you can see my veteran shield warrior charges in here, and they're actually going to win this fight if he doesn't do anything. So he says, I'm breaking through the noble fighter, but my noble fighter is very slow. It won't be able to chase these slingers. I'm going to go kill off this veteran shield warrior so I can break through with all my units, because if I don't, these units are going to die, and then this veteran shield warrior can potentially block more units. And you can see this veteran shield warrior, 120 men, and just pulling back. This Scutarii is overexposed. I'm just going to charge it with a cav unit and allow this unit to survive at more men. You can also see this cav is down to 21 men. My cav here is still at 45, surviving, and I can just escape with it. Also, my Cataphracs are alive at low numbers, but they could maybe kill some slingers. This unit here you can see is chasing some slingers, but he does a really nice job of protecting it here. His last cav is here. I see this cav though, and I'm like, well, I've got a unit of 38 men. He's got a unit of 20 men, so I'll just charge it here and tie. But I don't want to charge it immediately because he had so much support. But I end up taking a lot of damage for it. Kind of indecisive there. It's kind of bad for me. I thought I would dodge that javelin volley, but I didn't. I go for this charge, but I took that javelin volley, so now my cav is actually going to lose, and his cav is going to survive. But now look, my slingers completely free here to shoot up his noble fighter in the back. My veteran shield warrior was winning easily against those spears, so it now turns and fights here. And again, I got a cav charge into this Scutarii. So now the key is now he has like exposed units, and they have to chase my slingers. Otherwise, my slingers are going to kill way too much before he's organized and finishes killing off my remnants on the flanks here. So he has to chase this unit, but now it's an isolated unit, and I have to quickly eliminate it. If it survives for too long, too much of his infantry is going to win. So I have to focus it down. I'm still shooting this noble fighter. Obviously, these are very valuable shots from the rear. So now you can see I bring in my like a spear unit here. I bring in 2 spear units that are like really low numbers, but they'll just tie it down. I bring in the cav unit, and now all my slingers, once it turns around to focus my cav, can now just turn around and shoot this unit and kill it off very quickly. You can see the remnants of my army are just getting completely slaughtered here. The slingers are killing my veteran shield warriors very easily. I'm just running forward, trying to cause as much chaos as I can. I can't really run away. I'll just take too much fire from the back, so I say, okay, this unit's sort of in range. I'll use my cav here to help tie down this Scutarii for a little bit, while I kill off this Scutarii over here. That's a bigger threat because it's shooting. It's potentially going to chase off my slingers here. So I'm just recharging it several times here. My slingers are still shooting off this noble fighter, and again, look how it was 120 men. It's now dead from the focus fire of 5 slingers. I mean, that's a crazy amount of slingers. This cavalry was going to die anyway, so what I did is, again, any slinger kills are very valuable. I pointed out at the start of the battle. So I'm going to suicide this cav into 2 of his slingers to get some extra kills. This bloke's down to 37 men. It was at like 60, so this charge killed a lot of men. Pretty valuable. Again, I'm just buying time to kill off this Scutarii. And again, I still have this cav unit and this cav unit, and he only has this 1 cav at 13 men, which is basically useless. These veteran shield warriors are just gonna die here, but again, they killed off this noble fighter with the support of my slings, and now my slingers can just fully focus this Scutarii. This was a full unit again, so it's gonna take a while to die because the HP is high, but we're gonna do it anyway. Just focusing it and recharging it. As soon as my cav charges, I don't want to shoot it anymore. Because if you charge if your cav are in there, you're going to do a lot of friendly fire. And I want this cav to be healthy, because it can potentially kill off these slingers in the late game with the support of these Cataphrians. But my Cataphrians get a little too close, and Kila very quickly realizes that and kills it off with some slinger fire. So that was well played by him. But now again, these Scutarii are already... Another thing I should have mentioned, this was absolutely crucial, I can't believe I forgot to say it. The other thing the melee fight's going to do is going to cause the enemy infantry to get very tired. And when they're tired, they're not going to be able to chase your slingers. Slingers and archers obviously have resistance to fatigue, so they can run away forever. They're never going to get tired. These guys have to chase and fight in melee. They're already very tired, and now they can't do any good chasing, and also makes their morale very low. So when you shoot them with your archers, or slingers here in this case, they're going to rout very easily. So that's another huge benefit of a prolonged melee. If the melee lasts 5 seconds, they're not tired. They're just running, and they're fresh, and they're running at your slingers. If they're tired, they can't really chase the slingers. Their morale is bad. It's going to be very easy to kill. So we can see the situation now is I have all my slingers, I have better cav, and he only has 3 slingers, and one of them is very low, and some really tired units that are trying to chase my slingers, but they're soon to die. So you can see I'm focusing both of his Scutarii here, really getting nice kills from the rear shots here and the flank shots. Again, right-sided shots, unshielded side. Very nice. This spearman I'm less worried about because it's only at 53 men, it's already exhausted, so it's really not going to do anything. So now my infantry's all dead, so I have to start the actual kite. Let's go into triple here. You can see I'm trying to shoot cav whenever possible, but Tila doing a good job of realizing that. But my slingers are much faster. The only thing is I am close to the red line here, and that's one thing when you do the running away, shooting, you end up close to the red line, and that's one way you can get your units trapped. So I realize I'm close to the red line here. The corner of the map is right here, so I can't run this way, even though I would like to. I have to run kind of a long way to avoid getting trapped by his infantry. So that's a little bit of a problem, but again, he tries to chase my infantry. He's very tired. He can't really chase. I'm just shooting him in the back. And a lot of his army was dealing with units behind, so they are not in any type of position to actually deal with, to help this chase, right? Like these units, and even his slingers, are in no position to help chase my slingers. And if his slingers were closer, they could get some rear shots, which would be nice. But here, his units are exhausted, so they're easy targets for my cav. I just charged both of them, killed them off. This unit lost, but it does rout in the end. So now my slingers are safe, but they were close to the red line, and his slingers are running at them, and they could get a few free shots, but now, again, this is where it's crucial that I did some damage to his slingers. Imagine if these guys were full health, it would take me forever to kill them. I don't have infinite ammo out here. I have only a little bit of ammo left, so I still have a decent, like probably 25%, so if I had to kill these slingers off completely, it would be very difficult. But with them being a little bit lower, I can kill this one unit off easily, and then just focus the other Balearic. The Iberian Slinger's not really a threat, so I can just kill it off easily. So again, he kills off one Iberian Slinger, but again, that was a low unit. For it, he's going to pay with his Balearic dying. As soon as infantry come into range, I immediately target them with some of my units, because infantry again are much more valuable. If it comes to a melee, if like his slingers aren't going to kill all my slingers, right? It's going to take them too long. If it comes to a melee, my Balearics are going to win because I have a cav unit that's very healthy. So if I can kill all his infantry and his slingers and my slingers are still left with some health, I'll be in good shape. It's much more important for me to kill off his infantry because the infantry can actually win the melee. So again, he's running in there, unit dies, focusing the next unit, it dies. I'm killing off this Balearic too with a focus fire of 3 units. He's killing some of my men, like he killed 2 slingers, but again, those are my Iberians. All 3 of my Balearics are alive and healthy, 73, 70, and 71, so excellent health. Here my cav goes for a charge, because again, I thought I could catch this cav unit, and if I don't catch it, I'll just charge into this Iberian slinger and kill many of them, so that's definitely no problem for me. I charge in here again, he uses Frenzy Charge to keep this unit alive. My slingers now take advantage of the situation. His units are facing backwards, so I'm just going to use them to charge in here. I got a charge into this guy, killed 30 slingers here, and now getting a nice flank shots with my slingers. This Baleric's down to 30 men. This guy's just suicide charging everything because he's going to die after the frenzy charge is over. His cav routes, his guys are in a blob, and again, these are perfect shots for me. I kill off both of his slingers, so you can see just how much damage this suicide charge did. It killed 30 men here, and it killed, basically let me kill this Baleric slinger because it was in melee, so these shots were all from the rear. And he wasn't shooting back. So now, only a few Balerics left. I kill it off with this volley, and now I decide, okay, let me actually do what I said before. Let's just shoot up infantry only. I have only a little bit of ammo here, so I can't afford to shoot. Like, if I was to waste all my ammo on this Iberian slinger, I would lose, because this noble fighter would just win the game. So instead, I say, okay, let me start shooting up the noble fighter. Again, he tries to charge me with the Balearic. I accept the fight, because I'm just going to kill this unit off for free, and I can just run away. His Baleric's chasing me in the rear, not a big deal. They're not healthy enough or good enough in melee to do anything. Now his general is the only unit left. His Iberian slingers, again, they're not going to kill enough of my Balerics to make it worthwhile for me to shoot them. I'm only going to get rear shots now on his noble fighters. They're low HP, they die, and everything around. So that's a good example of kiting. I think I kind of went over your key, like, fundamental ideas, like kill the enemy cav, kill the enemy slingers, and then just run away and let the enemy get tired by fighting in the melee for as long as possible. And also, note how I created that block on the right side so that my slingers could fire for free without any pressure, and the only pressure came from the left, where I was able to focus those units down and they were isolated. So yeah, I think those are the key ideas. I hope that the ideas, both with the Cataphracts in the first few videos and then the last two videos with like positioning and kiting, were useful. I really think that kiting should be more common. A lot of people don't like to do it, but it's super effective. It's very hard to counter, especially with good factions like Parthia. So yeah, I think kind of went over the how that method can be powerful, and also the power of Cataphracts, the kind of the key for Parthia and Armenia being strong, and obviously Saba too. And then kiting and positioning, how getting surrounds and flanks is super valuable, and also just the idea behind kiting, like what are we trying to do when we're kiting, what are the goals, again, killing the enemy cav and making the melee last as long as possible are kind of key, and then kind of a late game situation that we saw with the Numidia versus Galatia, how surrounding and being surrounded is so bad versus surrounding being so good, and how compact armies die to surrounding armies, basically. So, hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Fundamentals. Maybe we'll have another one coming soon, but I think that's sort of the main ideas, kiting, and then the previous episode with sort of melee fights, and those are the two main things. Might have like a tips and tricks fundamentals thing, or something. I'll have to think about it, but let me know how this video was. Thanks for watching, everybody, and see you guys in the next one. Peace.